Welcome to Real Human Design Stories, where guests share their powerful personal stories of transformation through human design. I'm Kathy Bashanko, an intuitive human design mentor and guide to radical self-trust. Join us as we explore how your human design experiment can truly change your life. Hi there, and welcome back to Real Human Design Stories. So today I'm here with my dear partner in crime, collaborator, Jess Tilly, and we're going to talk about something that's been really powerful for both of us. Hi, Jess.
Hi. Yeah, so we've been deep diving into karma and how that actually shows up for us through our human design chart. Especially, we've been focusing on that unconscious moon placement, right? And this is looking at that hidden influence that kind of like attracts in. It's that attraction sphere, what pulls people in, those patterns, sometimes those emotional themes that we don't fully understand. And so we recently had a masterclass called the Karmic Attraction. And as we started going through that, we realized like there's such deep power in each of these placements in the sequential flow of this. And then we found that we could create like different tools to help and like with reports to help explore all of this. And so while this is all like super supportive, what we find like really brings it to life is the stories. Like how did this touch Kathy? Like how did this touch me? How did this show up for us like in our own lives?
Yeah, so we wanted to bring the real story behind it, and then we're going to share some of these tools that you can use and tell you a little bit more about it. Because karma in our chart is really cool to be able to unpack, but if it just becomes another thing in our head, that's not helpful. We need to really feel the stories and feel the transformation. And so when we were in Austin, one of the reflections that Chetan Parkin invited us to do early on in this whole experience, which let me back up a little bit. We went to Austin and learned how to do karma clearing through the different placements in the human design chart with the OG Chetan Parkin. And it was really beautiful and transformative. And we talk about that in some other episodes. I released a podcast last week or 2 weeks ago, where he talks about some of the bits of how that whole thing comes together. But we want to just give you a short little podcast here where we tell some of the stories of what happened for us in this experience. So when we were in Austin, and he is talking to us about the unconscious moon, and we all know we think of the moon and releasing what no longer serves us, setting our intentions, all these beautiful things. And we always think of Luna, right? The moon is feminine. So it tells us to think of our what might no longer serve us, what might need to be released in our maternal, feminine, right? Stories. And I had this really powerful experience, and my unconscious moon placement is gate 1, line 4. And that is sometimes known as the spark. It's this really creative energy. It's this gate of direction. It's this really yang energy, and I have it in line 4. So that's all about relationships, connection, foundation. It's this energy of opportunity through our intimacy, right? And who we are there. But what I started to feel, it wasn't like I thought it. I just started to feel as I sat with the prompts that we were given. I started to see how much my own direction in life has been shaped by relationships, family roles, and this unconscious pull towards shaping myself around other people's needs. And I felt my grandmother's life in this. I can say how much that story was a part of hers in a way that I never felt. She lived in a time when women didn't get to live a life based on their own sense of direction, right? She had to have a man that determined everything. If you think about it, it wasn't until like 1974. I was already 10 years old when women could open their own bank accounts. So my grandmother was in this time where if you didn't have a man in your life, you were a spinster, right? You were, just kind of left to fend for yourself. It was really difficult. And so her husband was an alcoholic. and he died before I was even born. She lost both her son and her youngest daughter. Um, so it was just her and my mom left in her family. And so when these men were gone, it was like she had no sense of direction, and uh, everything you knew about her was about had to do with them, right? So that spark of gate one never really had space to take root down for her. And I'm not talking about her having gate one, but we all have all of the chart, right? So I can really see her in the shadow of this deep, quiet depression, right? This, so she scared me. She was always unhappy, right? And so I saw her as being unhappy because she didn't have a husband. She didn't have a son anymore. And subconsciously, I was carrying some of those same patterns. I also noticed how my mother, as much as she loved us, there was this unconscious bias to her boys, right? And so all this stuff came through to me, and I could see how this all showed up for me in a way that really was impacting my direction, my sense of what was okay. And I kept finding myself saying no to things because of how they would make other people in my life feel. And so when that came through to me and I could really see it in a way where this was a pattern that served her because she needed this energy to be safe, right? She needed to say yes to her relationships in life to be safe, but I don't need that to be safe. I can have relationships that are more of a choice because they're the right relationships, not because I need them for my own safety, right? And that was really powerful for me when I felt that. And because it didn't come through like it's taken me weeks and months. And every time I tell this story, I get a little more clarity on it, right? But I felt the energy of all of that shift in me when we did this work in this session. And so that one key was the first one that we talked about in Austin and that one was amazingly powerful for me. And I feel like I can now see how I attract from this place of this gate one energy, from a place of freshness, right? That's the gift of that, and draw in that beauty. So that's just kind of a little bit of what it was for me. But having that safe space to let it go was really powerful. And I know you had some really powerful stuff that came up for you. And and it was a pretty crazy day for you. And I wonder if you want to share a little bit of your story with folks.
Yeah, absolutely. So it was such a beautiful experience, like you shared, So we started this in Santa Fe the first time we did the karma clearing and going through the whole sequence. And, there was definitely shifts. There were definitely like felt movements. That when we went and we, we did this in Austin, oh my goodness. It was so anybody who knows me, I'm very happy, I'm very bouncy, I'm very like, okay, here's this thing, but how do we shift it? Like, how do we move into happiness and like moving into this place, right? And so the unconscious moon for me, mine's 47, so that's oppression. And on the shadow side of that, it's hopeless and dogmatic. And sitting with that in the class, I was like, I'm not hopeless. No, like rejecting that. I was like, no. There was like this visceral feeling in my whole body, like, no way, not here for hopeless. That's not in me at all. Nope, nope, nope. And then the other side is dogmatic. And I was like, potentially I can see how dogmatic shows up in my life. And so it was in the middle of class because I got a text from my mom. So my mom and dad were watching. I have two girls, an 8-year-old and a 6-year-old. I get a text from my mom and she's like, hey, Lily needs to talk to you right now. And I'm like, oh, I'm in class. And my mom, who has never in the history of life ever like been like imminent, she's always like, yeah, whatever. She's like, now is like, oh, and so I hopped up out of class and I walk out. I'm like, what's going on? Lily's freaking out on the phone, like completely freaking out. And I'm like, okay, let's take some breaths. And we start taking breaths and I'm like, okay, start tapping. Like, I'm safe. I'm safe. I'm like, what is going on? I don't even understand what's happened. And my mom had texted me. She's like, Lily cut her hand in the night, like NIGHT. But what she meant was the knight. Like, I had a giant metal knight, life size knight in the house. And so Lily had sliced her finger. So it's this giant, I mean, again, like human sized knight. And on the underside of, he has a shield. On the backside of the shield, where the shield meets the hand, there's like this little like piece that's sharp and it's sheet metal. And somehow Lily had like run past it and like gotten her hand under it. And so it sliced all the way in her finger, like down, like deep. Like it was just bleeding everywhere. She was like hysteric. My mom was like, there's blood everywhere. Savannah, it was just such a thing.
You're trying to tap with her on it.
And I'm tapping with, because I don't I haven't fully like understand and comprehended like what's going on. And I'm like, has this something happened before and now you need to process this? And so and I'm like, we're breathing in, we're holding, we're releasing what is going on. And then I understand the gravity of it. Like, she had to go to the ER, she had to get stitches and everything. Thankfully, she's okay. She's good now. Fingers good. It's healed. Plans forward. But in that moment, I felt it so deeply, that hopelessness within me, that I was like, no, that I was in Austin and she was here. And I am incredibly, incredibly close with my kids. Like very, very, very close. Like if they're climbing like on a rock, I'm climbing that rock with them. You know, if they're doing something, and to not be there was incredibly hard. And there was like this hopelessness in me. And then I noticed how it started to shift into dogmatic, because then I was like, okay. So I called Robert. I was like, Robert, you have to go and meet them at the ER. I chatted with one of my best friends, Phaedra, and she's like, Phaedra's like, I'm going to hug her. Phaedra's there tapping with her, breathing with her. And I went into this place and I was like, okay, Dad, you're going to the ER. You take her. Mom, you've got Savannah. You like, because I mean, for Savannah too, it was quite a thing, right? And so I was like, go, go, go. And so they got to the ER and they're like, oh, you have a whole entourage of all the people. And like really seeing and having the awareness in that moment of like, oh my goodness, I see this showing up for me. I see this energy. And it was just it was a very hard experience for me. And I would like to add the caveat here that like these experiences are happening in your life regardless, right? It's this piece of awareness, like having this awareness and seeing how this is processing through me is so, so pivotal. And then the key to this one is transmutation, right? And that goes into transfiguration. And it was just, yeah, a very lived, lived experience of this exact gate within me, something that I was like, no way, that's not in me, that's not there. And then it's like, actually, yes, it is. And so for me, it was so, so powerful because I deeply live in like, how do we have the joy in this, right? You know, like sit with it, okay, but like joy, right? Let's find the happiness. And so to really sit in those emotions, that discomfort of it was so incredibly powerful for me.
Yeah. Yeah, and I saw it all happen, so it was
When you saw me, I was a mess. I can't even remember. Someone was like, here, drink water.
right? Yeah, but I could see it process in you, and I really saw the way, things shifted for you in this whole process of, like, awareness that came through this experience, and I've seen it as we do this work to put together this masterclass, and we can really see, what is this transmutation that is the gift of attraction of what draws people to you. That is what, attracts me to you, this whole like beautiful energy in you that you transmute things from these hopeless scenarios to this beautiful energy. And so it's been really great working on this whole experience together. And I appreciate your sharing that story. Hopefully people got something out of our stories here. We don't want to spend a whole lot of time talking about this, but we would really like to invite you, if you're interested in seeing how your own unconscious moon might be calling in things to you in your life in ways that you're maybe not aware of. and transmute some of that and make it something fresh and beautiful as we use our own unconscious moon gifts, right? To help you to find the gifts in that energy. This class is not about thinking about your unconscious moon placement. It is really more of an experiential thing. And I've created like a guide that you can download on my website, kathybashanko.com. I will put the direct link to the guide the um, in the show notes. But if you just want to go to my website, it should come up as a pop-up. I haven't figured out where else to put it for right now, but if not, just message me and I'll send it to you as well. And you can go through this process with your own um, karmic attraction placement. And we did this as a master class. So we wanted to have an easy way for people to play with this a little bit on their own. And there is a way also, we'll put the link in here for you to download the replay to the master class that we already did if you'd rather do it in that video format. But if this is something that's interesting to you, that you feel called by this experience that you have, we really want to ask you to join us in a new space that we've created that we're calling the Unwinding. And it is an intentional unraveling of karmic threads and conditioned beliefs. So that stuff that's felt stuck, that maybe, you've been working with human design for a little while, and, you have these things that feel like conditioning and you haven't been able to move through them. That's karma in a lot of cases. We would love to help you process that. And each month we guide you through one piece of your karmic story. And we use human design, reflection, and release. And you'll find the link to sign up for that in the show notes as well. We do ask that you explore your unconscious moon as a precursor to that. So, did I forget anything, Jess? Anything you want to add?
And we just really love to add the feedback and the stories we're getting from people. They're amazing. I mean, people that have been in human design for a long time, people that are very familiar with their activations with this, but going through this process, like the feedback we're getting, like, wow, I never actually really got down to the root of that. I never contemplated it in this way and fully understood where this shows up for me. And that's
Yeah.
been such a cool experience just to hear from people because we're like, yes, this was amazing for us. And that's why, we're doing this because it had such a profound effect for us. But now
Yeah.
also hearing and getting all this feedback from other people that they're like, wow, this is powerful stuff. And that's been amazing.
Yeah. We had somebody say that they'd had some past life regressions and that this gave them a lot of clarity on what was happening in some of those past life regressions and how it related to part of their story now. Then we had someone else who said she felt all of this connection between her unconscious moon placement and her grandmother. And then later that night, she was at a Five Rhythms dance event, and she called her Oma, came in and danced with her, and they cleared all the energy. And she said it was really beautiful. And that story gave me chills. So this is really transformative stuff, and we'd really love for you to be a part of it with us. So we'll look forward to hearing from you,
Yeah. And if you have any questions, definitely let us know, reach out.
right? Peace out, everybody.